When is it time to move away from your job? I was on Google when they opened the new tabs and they had the news sources. So I scroll through sometimes. Okay. Reading this article when they're interviewing Arnold Schwarzenegger, the big freaking Terminator dude.
Yes.
I butchered your name. I'm so sorry. In the article, the quote was, I'm going to sum it up because it's a little bit long. If not willing to put in the work and time for this startup job and side hustle that you want to leave your original job for, then you're not ready to leave your job because you're just running away from your job. You're not willing to put in the extra hours to work. You're just fantasizing about the idea of not working.
So how do you know when to leave a job to do your own thing? Wow. When you first asked this question at the beginning, I was thinking, how do you know when it's time to move to a new job?
Oh no, I've been ambiguous like that.
You want to dive into the part about starting your own thing?
Yeah, let's do it. You want me to do it? Or you want to dig into it?
You first, so I could think about it a little bit more.
I resonated with this quote only because of what we're doing, talking about it, and then I'm adding more layers to it. A secondary podcast, trying to build a sports medicine type of course or another type of product in sports medicine field. So 3 things juggling with a job. I don't want to leave my job. I do want to put the extra hours in. But I was talking with a friend, and there was a weird point of the conversation where we're talking about me leaving athletic training. And at a certain point, I said, yeah, I feel very ready to leave if this podcast, a secondary podcast, or another project I'm working on as of right now takes off. Whenever reason takes off, I feel very ready to leave my job. And he asked me, why is that different than why you left it the first time around in 2020? I think I was being more resentful at the job versus feeling more fulfilled with my job status right now. In my career point right now, I feel very fulfilled versus being resentful. And I'm going to tie in that other quote with that when I paraphrase with Arnold. I was that kind of loop that I wanted to give up everything to start this job, not because I generally wanted to put in the hours, but I just wanted an excuse to leave because I don't want to deal with it anymore.
Like you said, running away from a pain versus running towards a pleasure.
Yeah. But as of right now, working 3 different type of possible things I might set off. If not, it might be duds, but I have no reservation about leaving my job. What had made that difference? And that was a crazy type of thought when I was talking with my friend and this quote popped up.
Because I'm currently unemployed, I think I have to evaluate it a little bit differently.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Yeah. What you got?
It reminds me a little bit of that rant that I had about celebrating a layoff versus being sad about a layoff. The job that I had before was very similar to you. I was fulfilled. It was extremely time consuming and it prevented me from pursuing additional projects with the time and attention that I would want to put towards them. But I was okay with them going a little bit slower because the primary thing that I was working on was fulfilling. Being laid off was a decision made for me to kind of lean further into it. And so
I like how you said for me, though. I like that.
It happened for me, right? Not to me. And now I have that time and energy to put towards it, which is also why I'm not actively applying to jobs as frantically as I probably would if the goal was to get another job. The goal now is to stand up one of these projects that could be sustaining enough to live. I remember the one time I started the clean room cleaning company. The goal wasn't to become a millionaire. The goal initially was just to make enough money to pay for bills. Because if you can pay whatever the expense or bill is with that side hustle, I mean, sure, you can't go out and get a steak dinner all the time, but you're free. You financially don't need the job.
There's so many layers of that too. So we just deep dive on, but yeah, it is true. If you could, that's how I felt about photography when I quit 2020. I was making enough to pay my bills, and I was like, oh snap. And then, but I did not feel fulfilled, and I went back. So
you definitely need to know what you're leaving for, and if that's a means to an end or not.
Mm-hmm.
Which sometimes it could be if it's part of the transition to doing something in, like doing something you love and getting paid while doing it kind of thing.
There was the reason why I did a little deep dive on it, because I remember the Great Resignation back in 2021 where like 32%. So I'm looking at, it's a Forbes article. 32% of Americans are leaving their jobs to pursue their own ventures. And I found the HR Brew little article was that there was 5 million new business applications in 2020, which is up about 40% from like the previous year. That I was like, but we only hear the good stories. So out of this 40% of either starting a new venture, or 32% of Americans at that time of 2021, maybe one or like a very small percentage of a handful would be doing well enough to do yeah, I quit my job and I did really well story.
Social media makes starting a business seem significantly easier than what it is.
No, yeah. Fuck you, Threads. Just kidding.
It's something like 90% of all businesses fail at try.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that you need to know and get right. It can obviously be a little bit easier if you're doing it with a group of people because you can pull those experiences together. You fail 100% if you don't try, though.
Wow. Wayne Gretzky. Michael Scott.
Okay. Changing the pace just slightly. How do you know when to... I mean, let's say you don't want to become an entrepreneur and you just want to change your job. How do you know when it's time to change jobs?
As a whole or like financially? Like just a feeling or...
What was missing at that last job that made you want to change jobs? Like, how did you know that was the time? Like, what there was something that built the resentment.
Yeah. So the built resentment was in a high school level for me. It was not using my clinical skill sets at the full capacity. So for me, I think the resentment of not reaching my potential within the job itself. Like I'm reading for more. And maybe at the time I did not really analyze it myself. Maybe it was, I just diverted to I need a new job. Maybe I don't like the job career itself. But when I went back into collegiate setting, I was utilizing my skill sets to the higher level. And I was like, this is what I wanted. Maybe it wasn't the fact of the job, but the job setting that did not make me feel fulfilled. So that's how I knew for me, now looking retrospectively, was that it was, am I reaching my capacity to where I feel like I want to be at or feel like I can be going towards? And if it's not, that was time for me to find a new job. And as of right now, I really feel fulfilled. I feel like I have a great career. It was a young career, but if something comes up and makes me feel like I need to walk away, I feel this time around I can easily just walk away and be like, I'm going on to a new chapter because of that fulfillment of I had a very successful kind of high school type of era. I had college right now has not won a ring yet, but so close last year. Fucking PKs.
It's okay. You guys have this year to redeem yourself.
This year. But I digress. So at collegiate wise, I competed and helped out a team to perform at a very high level. And I feel very proud of it. I'm doing really well as an administrator in a D1 setting. And there's nothing for me to say like, what else is more? And if I really wanted to deep dive in the career as a check mark, yes, going pro. But I don't really want that as my grand end life for me. So
I think it's also because you're not very complacent, that being in a situation where you feel underutilized can then become almost like a waste of time.
Yeah. And that's what I felt like. So job wise, that financially, if I say, hey, I'm going now, then find something financially. If it could pay my bills and I'm debt free from like my student loans and did all that and I could walk away, then yeah, I'd walk away and start this new chapter, not athletic training related in my life. That's how I would know probably another pathway of when I can leave my job.
I forgot which one of my managers told me this one time, but I remember asking, when is it time to leave? And they broke it down into two categories. They're like, any job that you have, you should either be learning or you should be earning. Ideally, you're doing both, but at minimum, you should be doing one. If your job is at a point where you're not learning something new and you're not earning what you believe that you should be making, it's probably time to find something else to do.
Damn, I like that one.
It was like simple enough to always remember and broad enough to basically encompass almost every scenario that I could think of throughout projects that I've done, different jobs that I've held, and it helps kind of pave the way of what projects I want to take on. Because I do think everyone does have a price, right? There's these jobs out there that pay an enormous amount of money where you're working 24/7. You're basically on call, but kind of it could be worth it in a way because you're like, yo, I'm getting that bread. Maybe you're learning something too. That's, little bloop. You could take that with you when you leave. But there's definitely jobs that I've had where I was like, I'm not doing anything, where I'm learning. I feel underpaid. Peace, I'm out. I have no idea what you're mouthing, but let's go with yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
This is pretty good though. I like it. This is a good little thing. Want to close out, or you want to?
no, I think that was perfect. You started it off, and I was going directly into job to job, but you were talking about job to doing your own thing, and so
I made it ambiguous to make it like
No, it was great because it totally made me think in another way that, like, I have a playbook when it comes to a job, but I don't have a mental playbook when it comes to projects.
Yeah. So I came with very intellectual type of thought processes to go around.
Absolutely. No, they're super thought provoking, and I greatly appreciate that. All right, let's tie this one up.
You want to tie it? Okay, tie it up, Nick. All right, we're all done.
Okay, so if you made it this far, thank you for joining us on episode 11. Also, leave a comment below on what your thoughts are when it comes to deciding when to leave a job, whether that's to do your own thing or find another job. Comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in episode 12.
Peace.